been an eventful weekend so far. I sold my Crown. Finally she's off to a new owner. Hope you enjoy it, Nick. Sad to see it go, but have to be a bit more realistic about how much money I have invested in air guns. It's a little bit ridiculous having what I've even got now, so yeah, oh well. The world keeps turning, and being that it's summer and the Earth is turning on its axis, it's a little known fact that Australia is actually only 9 meters away from the sun at the moment. So for my American Imperial viewers, 9 meters is 3 Freedom Eagles and 1/16 of an Old Glory, and it's very hot. It's very, very hot. But yeah, whatever. So went down to Shooter's Delight, did the transfer, sent the Crown off to its new home, and then skipped across to the other side of town and went to Gun Room to see old mate Ian behind the desk there, and picked up one of his Mark IV compressors. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to unbox it and set it up, pump the impact up, and have a bit of a shoot tonight. So definitely not going to be wandering around out here too much longer, because I will literally burst into flames. But as the sun's going down, we've got some nice breeze, so hopefully we'll be able to get some shooting in. And yeah. So there might be a bit of wind noise on the microphone, but definitely want to be outside in the breeze. I don't want to be inside my little container shed at the moment. So we're sharing the floor with my my little Project Pajero. It's pretty much out of the way, but got to get a couple of rust repairs done on the bull bar and take it in and get the engine problems diagnosed and fixed. But it should be a ripper of a little truck by the time I'm done with it. It'll be fun. So yes, outside video. So we've got the impact on the desk ready to go. I'm going to chuck the compressor here, and it's going to live outside for a little while. So basically what I'm going to do is chuck it inside. I'm going to turn this little black box upside down and sort of sit it on the lid, and then use the box as a dust cover, and then as my water reservoir, my coolant, I'm going to use this here white tub. So we'll fill that up with water. It's a bit overkill. You're only supposed to use like 40 litres or whatever, but you know, there's no kill like overkill. So this is the box they come in. It's a fairly heavy little nugget, but it's strapped up nicely. And just make sure that if you do get one of these, because these come sort of halfway set up, they're basically a Yongheng unit that has been modified and upgraded a little bit, and has new decals and stuff printed on it, and they actually come with synthetic oil in them already. So you have to make sure that it gets shipped the right way up. So I picked this one up from the shop, so it's all good. It's been upright the whole time, so happy days. But yeah, well packaged. So you get quite a bit of stuff in here. We've got a bunch of filters and O-ring kits and all sorts of things. So this is a wonderful product. I don't think he's putting together too many more of these in the near future. So I think you have to actually buy a firearm from his shop, or airgun rather, from his shop, and then he can make one of these available to you. I wasn't aware of that, but I read it on the website the day after I bought it, and yeah, I guess I got lucky. I guess he was feeling generous. So these may not be available, but you never know. And if you ever do have any questions about any of the firearms in his shop, or how he has modified these, I'm sure he'll be happy to share his wisdom with you, because he's a very knowledgeable dude. Lovely singing voice too. So this is all the stuff that you get in the box. You get your sweet little Gun Room branded compressor, which is very cool looking. Sorry about the constant changing apertures. I've got a variable ND filter, and I'm trying to figure out where it looks best coming between different lights. Bear with me. But yep, so there we go. We've got some nice hoses on the top, and it looks like he's put this felt around the high pressure line, which is nice, because if there's high pressure moving through it, high pressure air generates a lot of heat, so I'm guessing that's to stop you from burning yourself. And he's upgraded a few little bits and bobs here with some better fittings, and zip tied everything down so that it's all nice and ready to go. Got the crankcase breather installed. Looks like we've got pretty much everything on there almost 100% ready to go. and as you can see in there we've got a bubble, which means we're full of oil. So wonderful. You also get this improved air filter chamber, so you can fit 2 of those little badoobas in there, and in between them in the middle there is like a different type of moisture trap thingy. Not sure, 100% sure about that, but whatever, I'm down with having no moisture in my gun. So it also comes with the hose and the little extension, and that's got a Foster fitting on there, so hopefully that fits straight up to the impact without needing any modifications. I'm pretty sure the impact is just a standard Foster fitting, so we'll just have to wait and see. I'll pop that open next and have a look. Power cord and manual. Definitely worth reading the operating manual on something like this. Oh, forgot to mention, submersible pump and red food dye. So you can use, through these clear tubes, the water that you use as your coolant. You can see it moving through there, so he's thought of pretty much everything. Smart bloke. But yeah, definitely read the manual before you do anything silly with one of these compressors, because it is essentially a little bomb that's sitting there. If you do the wrong thing, you can really make some noise. Alrighty then. So let's crack this bad boy open and see if it fits straight up to ye olde impact. Looks like it comes with a pack of spare O-rings. That's cool. Fairly long cord, so that end goes into the second hose, I believe, and that's your Foster fitting for connecting up to the gun. So it looks like it'll fit. Impacts are notoriously annoying to try and fit your fill source up to anyway, so... Oh, joy of joys. It fits straight up. Wonderful. I thought it might, so that's good. Question is, can I get it off? I have to take my sick Vipertech bipod off, and this is going to take some practice. I wonder if it's worth having some pliers on hand while I do this. So there's your problem. It fits up nicely, but once you let that piece click over, it's very difficult to get it back out again. So I think I might just have to use some long nose pliers while I do my filling on this, and in the meantime I will order a new Foster fitting from Herman's. I'd say they should be able to get me one. Shouldn't be too much drama, because I sold my one that I got with the impact. When you buy the impact, you get one just in case your fill source doesn't have one that works for this exact situation. But the bloke that I sold my crown to, I decided to give him that one because he has one of these compressors as well. So I wanted him to be able to get out there and play straight away. So I'll still be able to use it. I'll just have to order a new part to make it a little bit easier. Not the end of the world. The pliers do a job, so happy days. So I think before we get into any of the funky specific compressor stuff, I reckon we'll just do the simple things and get all these extra cables out the way. I'll plug the power in, I'll hook up and put the filters into the filter case, and have that discharge hose all ready to go, and maybe we'll fill some water up and put some food dye in it and go from there. Right, so that was all fairly self-explanatory. It's if you take the time to just sort of imagine where everything goes, it all sort of comes together quite well. Inside the tube there, because this compressor, the way that Gunroom does their business, they test everything before they send it out, so that's wonderful. And it has filters already installed, but obviously never leave anything to chance and open it up and have a look, just to double check and make sure that they're in still usable condition. If there's any discoloration, it's always a good idea to throw them away. Even if you only get 1 or 2 fills out of each one, it's fine. These are cheap. You can buy these, or you can just use tampons from your local supermarket. They do the same job. They swell up and catch moisture. That's what they do. So yeah, two options, two very cheap options, and there's no excuse for getting oil and moisture in your gun. So yeah, change them regularly and you shouldn't have any dramas. And when you put this bad boy back together, you can just tighten it up finger tight. You don't have to go mental because it's O-ring sealed, right? So it's just O-ring sealed aluminium, so don't go crazy. Just tighten it up hand tight and you'll be fine. So the compressor, on both sides there's these little brass pieces. You've got one on each side. There's that one there, and this hole above it, that's where your airline, your out air, your high pressure airline goes out to, from there to your gun. So don't unscrew that one and put it in there. Just leave that one where it is. It's meant to be there, and put your airline in that one. So it just occurred to me that I should compare height now that it's out of its little crate, and it's too tall to fit in my box. Tragedy. Oh well. I think what I'll do instead is chuck it in the big white one, because the white one's taller, and instead of using that one as a tank for the coolant, I'll just go and grab a big old bucket out of the tack room and use a big bucket instead. So yeah, all is not lost, but it nearly was. So just consulting the manual for the next steps of the process, I believe what we're going to do is chuck these little drain cocks into the brass pieces that I showed you just before. But the manual itself is pretty good. It's there's lots of diagrams, and it's written in broken English, but it's understandable. It makes sense enough to use. Happy days. So let's chuck those little drain cocks in. So those little drain cocks are how you release the pressure before you disconnect. So yeah, cool. Time to get wet. Let's unfurl this here hose, give this bucket a clean out, and that big ass bucket will be my my coolant reservoir. I don't know how big it is. It's holds a fair amount of water, so I reckon that'll be enough. It's definitely bigger than a 20-litre bucket. I'd say it's probably a 30 or a 40. Not really marked with anything. So, but yes, make sure that your coolant reservoir is clean before you fill it up, though. So you don't want any of that stuff going through the compressor head. So this is a little pump that you get with it. It looks like it's just a little submersible fish tank pump, which is cool. You just with this thing, you really want to have this running before you turn the actual compressor on. And being that it's just a little flow-through pump, you can leave it running for as long as you want. So even after you've filled up whatever you're filling up, you can turn the compressor off and just leave that pump running, and you'll have your nice cool water circulating throughout the head to help the head cool down. So good idea. Right, so washed out my tub. She's ready to go. Unfurled my gear. I think this little submersible pump needs to be right at the bottom, so I'm going to have to maybe put something underneath it to elevate it for now. At some stage in the near future, I'm going to set up a table so that this all sits in there nicely and everything's in its place, and there's room to hang all the cables and whatnot, and everything sits nicely. But just for today, we'll just chock it up with some blocks, make sure everything's running right. So it turns out a little tiny bit of food colouring goes a long way, but we've got our nice red water. Don't use coolant, just use water. Drop that red food dye in there so you can see it going through. So with this particular one, I've just hooked up the power cord and plugged the little centrifugal fish tank pump in to pump the coolant around, just to see how that goes. And there's no switch or anything. As soon as it gets power, it just turns itself on and it pumps away. As you can see here, pull your return line up, dribbly dribbly dribbly. Might put a little bit more colour in that water so it shows up a little better in the lines. But aside from that, happy with that. So at least we know now we got cooling, and we're safe to prevent ourselves from overheating. 29.3 degrees. It's a little strange. This even when it wasn't plugged in, this temperature dial was still reading the temperature. So yeah, it was up around that high 30s, but it's cooling the head down nicely now. So lovely, very good. So that's basically it. It's pretty much all set up now and ready to rock. So I'm going to hook my impact up to it and top it up. It doesn't have far to go. I've only got to put another sort of 50 or 60 bar in it. So it's probably only going to take about 30 seconds to do that. But it'll be good to run it up and see how we go. I think I'm going to start with the 2 drain cocks open so that it's not under load, and then once it's got itself up and running and moving and the oil's circulating through the motor and everything, we'll close them up, and then that way there won't be any hard starting going on. So, that was fairly uneventful. That's good. We got 250 bar in the bottle now. We'll wait till that cools down and see where that ends up. But yeah, all good. All good. I've left the little thing running, so we'll leave this to cool the head down, because as you can see, we've still got a bit of temperature in there. What are we at? 39.1. So it's only been 20 seconds since I turned it off and grabbed the camera again. And it basically peaked from going from probably, yeah, in that 60 bar below that 250 bar mark. So from just under 200 up to 250, it took, you know, less than a minute, and heated up to about 55 degrees. And yeah, all good. Way better than hand pumping. I'm never hand pumping anything ever again. This is the best thing I have ever bought for any of my air guns. I don't know why I waited so long. So I just gave it about 5 minutes, and it looks like it's dropped maybe sort of 5 bar total bottle pressure, and the temperature on the Mark IV has gone all the way back to standing temperature of the water, which is 29 degrees, so everything's settled out. I'm not going to bother pumping up again for another 5 bar, seeing as it's so easy to fill this bloody thing now. I can just come up here and we're done in 2 minutes. So exciting stuff. Very good, very good. Next step for today, I think we will drill a couple of holes in the lid here so that I can keep the lid shut, and keep all the shite out of the actual bucket. But yeah, aside from that, I think we're good. We're ready to rock. So happy days. Very happy with my purchase. So this is basically the finished product. The only thing I've really got left to do is chuck a bit of Sikaflex on the over these holes here, just so that shite doesn't end up floating in there, but the lid should protect it well enough for now, until I make a more permanent setup. I'm probably going to keep this inside my house somewhere, because it's much cooler inside the house than it is in the shed behind those trees in there. That's where my shed is that I normally do my videos in. But I reckon we'll put this in the house somewhere and make a nice table set up so everything's all set up permanently, and all you have to do is just walk in, connect up, switch her on, and off you go. So you can see there's no line, no coolant in the line. We plug him in. There we go. Down she goes. So you don't even have to pull the these out. You can. They're not hooked in there real hard or anything, if you did really want to double check. But yeah, just plug her in and off you go. Love it. I can't tell you how happy I am. This whole setup was all right around that $500 mark, which is an absolute bargain considering all the work that Ian from Gunroom puts into these. I think it's he could probably sell them for quite a bit more if he really wanted to. It's a really good setup. So all 10 points. The only thing left to do now is go out and use the air. So very good, very good. Exceedingly happy. I was going to come out and use a bit of air and have a bit of a plink, but the wind has just changed direction and it's sucking back towards that big doom cloud, so we might enjoy the rain and give the shooting a miss. Hopefully we'll get some water on the lawn and fill my dam up a little bit, but in the meantime I'll show you my setup where I've put it inside. So even the frogs in the drain pipes are all chirping, they're singing their song, so sweet. Let's go inside and have a look at how I've set it up. Probably going to be a little bit echoey in here, but this is my spare bedroom that I've set up for guests in the arse end of the house. So I've put my my compressor here, elevated my little tub so everything sits there nicely, and I can keep it inside out of the weather. And yeah, basically this big tub turned upside down is going to be my dust cover. Carefully pop that on there. So there we go. Doesn't have to be sealed properly or anything. It sort of has enough room down here for the cables to come through. There we go. So yeah, victory, joyous. Best $500 I've spent since I started messing around with air guns. Just decided to lend my neighbour some of my lawn because he's got lots of sheep. So they're going to mow the grass for me. Very good. So there you have it, the Mark IV compressor from Gunroom. Basically, I'm not 100% sure if you're going to be able to get one or not. Maybe in the future he'll do another batch of them and sell them free of purchasing an air gun from him. But for now, I think there's only a few of them left and you have to buy an air gun to get one. So if you're in the market for an air gun, check out Gunroom. Very knowledgeable bloke. He's got some very nice Krahls and Benjamins, and he's not really a big FX dealer, I guess, but he can get you one if you want one. So hit him up, see how you go, and yeah, enjoy. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.